Welcome back to Passing Time with Craig. As always, I'm your host, Craig, and today I am joined by two guests. I'm excited to have Erin and Claire here to discuss a new play coming out here March 27th, Porcelain Dolls. Hello, ladies.
Hey, Craig, how are you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. It's beautiful.
Yes.
It's like spring temperature. It's
Yes.
not hot. It's perfect.
It's
It is.
so nice. It's so nice out.
Gorgeous.
I'm so happy we're there. I mean, let's face it, it's March. It's going to happen again. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, it's probably going to snow on the 27th.
it just might. Who knows? It's supposed to snow this weekend.
So, actually, as we're going to talk into theater, I was in Simply Theater's production of California Suite that took place we were one of the last shows in the city before COVID shut everything down. So that was when there was also that blizzard week.
Yeah.
It was really crappy. We each day were like, are we able to do the play? And we think we ended up being one of the last plays happening in Calgary, like the Saturday there just before. The next day, I think, was when they like announced everything and restrictions. So it's fun.
It's fun. Simply is fun. I mean, I know they're no longer here in Calgary. They're back out east, but they're awesome. I've done a Simply show. You've worked with them?
I've never worked with them, no, but I know of them.
Yes, but we're here to talk about Full Circle Theater.
Yes.
So for people who don't know Full Circle Theater, tell us the story behind it.
Yeah. So Claire and I went to the University of Calgary, and our senior level acting class had 12 people in it, 11 of whom were female identifying,
Wow.
10 of whom were within like 3 years of age and like 3 inches of height and like basically the same weight. Like we're basically walking out into the theater world as the quotation marks same person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we knew we weren't. We knew that all of our classmates had their own individual skills, were better attuned to like different types of roles. But if you're going out and you're auditioning for plays at our age of like 22 at that point, you're playing the main character's daughter.
Yeah.
Or fiance. And we knew that we'd be competing against all of our friends, and we didn't want to do that.
No.
So we started Full Circle to create the types of roles that we wanted to play and to give our friends opportunities.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. What is it like to, create this and do this and work along friends?
Oh, it's great. Throughout our years, we've really cultivated a wonderful group of people who share our passion.
Yeah.
And just share our writing style and our working style, which is always great because you can be great friends with somebody, but when you go to work with them, it's like it can sometimes be that block.
Yep.
And we've been very lucky to overcome those blocks and work with a group of people in various stages and on various productions who want to work with us, want to do our wacky and wild shows. So we're so happy. It's been so much fun.
And I think the thing that's cool is like every production we do, we collect someone new, like comes into our pocket. Like they're our Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yes. Someone shows up for auditions and we're like, yes, we want you. And then they just never really leave. They just
No.
become more collaborators with us.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, you think of some people, mostly like in the comedy world, who they find those people and they just work together. So you've got Adam Sandler and all his friends. You got the cast of The Office. They're always popping up in each other's works and doing stuff together because they're just, when you find those people that you can work with and make something so enjoyable, it's such a joy.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And like, there is nothing wrong with working with your friends. Theater is not a meritocracy. Theater is a collaborative experience. And so we want to collaborate with people that we love.
Exactly. And that we work well with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, where do most of these stories come from that we do the productions of?
Some of them are known tales, so we'll draw on a source that's already in the public zeitgeist.
Yep.
And then others come up from a conversation or a spark that maybe we're sitting around and we go, do you know what would be really ridiculous? This. Or do you know what would be really fun? This.
Yeah.
And one of us or another member of our group will be like, you know what? Actually, yes, that would be. And we go, do you want to write a play about it? And then we do.
So Porcelain Dolls takes place entirely in the women's washroom, an imaginary nightclub, imaginary Calgary nightclub that I picture to be the old Outlaws space, which is now a Dollarama.
Yes.
But it was like 4 different bars. Anyway, and it was because we were hanging out with friends and we were trying to think of like situations where lots of women would come together. And the bathroom came up and we kind of like laughed and put it aside and we made a different play. But the idea of the bathroom kept coming back. And we're like, yeah, you know what? We actually do need to, pull the figurative curtain aside and show this space.
Yep.
Yeah, it's such a great setting because there is so much that happens there, and you wouldn't think a play in a bathroom would be what you would go to, but there is a lot that happens, and and this is an all female identifying cast, right?
Yes. Yeah. No, I'm lying. We do have one non-binary cast member, but we were we wanted to be very inclusive with who we are casting and have a very femme-led group with this show, particularly because the setting is a woman's washroom in a nightclub in 2012.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was reading up about it. 2012. So kind of before really social media and everything. So is that why we chose that setting? Because I like that you could have gone the whole 80s route or even 90s and you would have had unique looks for it. But 2012, why then?
Yeah, so we've actually done a variation of the script before, and we originally produced the show. It was very different then in 2017. And it was set in 2017 because that's when we wrote it. And when we pulled the script out, we realized, and reread it, getting ready to write it again, we realized that what we needed was this feeling of feeling interconnected, but also being able to show up at a place and not know that everyone you know is there.
Right.
There's a whole plot point where Claire's character is having her bachelorette party and the ex-best friend, me, happens to be at the same club and they like see each other from the distance. And we didn't think we could do that in a modern lens. I mean, now people are a little bit more disconnected.
Yeah, but there's still that.
But it's easier to find out where people are, especially with all of the social media that we have. Even though our characters are no longer friends, they were best childhood friends. So they do know the same people.
Yeah.
So in 2024 or even 2017, when we originally set it, the possibility of knowing who is at that nightclub is very high.
Yeah.
And it could be very easy to be like, no, actually, for Erin's character to be like, no, actually, her friend who's never seen on stage Chastity, we can't go to that bar because Skylar is there. I know this. We cannot go there. So we had to remove that.
Yeah.
But we wanted the idea of having to like sneak away and make a phone call, sneak away and check in with your fiance when you're not supposed to be talking to the boys.
Yeah.
And so we wanted like a little bit of cell phones, but not
what we're with now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you kind of, I feel like when you do a play that takes place nowadays, you kind of just need to have the characters like always have a phone in their hands. Like you just, whether they're on it or scrolling, like you just, if you're in the scene, like, I don't know, if I'm sitting down in the bar and I'm not talking to you right now, I'm probably on my phone doing something. And it's a whole different thing.
Yeah. And there would have been more, we have like Bachelorette Bingo. And now that could easily be on your phone.
But you can't do like these visceral things. Yeah. Like you couldn't have a character rip up the bingo card if it's on your phone.
Right? Because the power of being delete just doesn't ring as true and as nice as somebody physically ripping a piece of paper on stage.
So for this play, I mean, bachelorette party's pretty universal. I mean, even if you've never been to a bachelorette party, a birthday party, a bachelor party, even, like, there's a lot of similar things that happen, so it's pretty universal. Did we draw on any real experiences for this play?
Oh, certainly. What is funny is we thought things were really universal, but we had this discussion when we were writing where we wanted to add a mom character.
Yeah.
when we did auditions for Riverona last year, there were all of these amazing women in their middle years who came out to audition, and we didn't have a part for them in Riverona.
Yeah.
And there wasn't originally a part for them in Porcelain Dolls, but we wanted to include at least one of these incredible women.
Yeah.
So we wanted to include this mom character. And the debates we had about whether or not moms would be at the bachelorette party.
I was against it. Like, honestly, I was like, no, that doesn't make any sense. I cannot see it. Hard no.
Yeah.
And then through our discussions, everybody won me over. And they were like, actually here and this. And could you? And I was like, actually, yes. Okay, I'm on board. And I'm so happy that I was swayed because Brenda, the mom character, is so lovely and adds just a whole other layer to my character's journey throughout the night.
Yeah.
And the relationships between the quote unquote kids and parents,
Yeah.
even though many of all the characters are of the age where they have or could have children of their own. One of them does, and that's her main point. She's like, I'm a mom. So like having a more mom was really, I'm very happy that I was swayed into that.
So we mentioned at the beginning, is kind of created this full circle theater because you were competing against each other. That would be the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like outside of Full Circle, other productions, I can see it just going to plays where the female characters or non-binary characters are usually like, sometimes they're a quarter of the cast, and you have those similar roles. What do you find it's like out there for being a female or non-binary person?
I've gotten very, very picky about what outside projects I audition for. I've realized that it's not as important to me to do a ton of plays as it is to do plays where I get to play characters who have agency and actually do things, actually drive the story forward in some way. Because I've played the main character's girlfriend, I've played the main character's daughter.
Yeah.
I've played, but I've also played a federal agent in like a film noir, Wizard of Oz, Alice in Wonderland, crazy thing.
Yeah.
So, but if you're not picky, it is very, very easy to just play the same role over and over and over. And they'll cast you a lot because you're talented.
Yeah.
I say about myself, but it's not interesting and it's not challenging.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And you can, on the note of casting, it can be very easy for the people who are doing the casting to, if this is something that you've always done, we all know what typecasting is.
Yeah.
So if you've done something over and over and over again, you've played that character really, really well, sometimes it can be challenging for a casting director or an artistic director, whomever is making those casting choices, to go, yeah, I can see you as this other character, because they might be like, well, no, you play this.
Yes.
And so we just want to not always play this character.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then we see people, in mainstream win awards for finally getting to play a different role and something they never get to see.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, well, why aren't we doing this more often? But we're still just like, no, your best is this character or this type of role.
Yeah, totally. And, if we can do one little bit to let other directors and casting directors see our artists in a different lens, then we feel like we have wildly achieved something.
Mm-hmm.
One of our favorite collaborators is a woman named Megan Baldry.
Yes.
And Megan is tall and she's busty and she's curvy. And so for most of her career, she was cast as like maids and prostitutes.
Right.
Yeah, because that's who you get to play if you have big boobs. And for us, she's played leads, like she's played ingenues for us at Yaz. She gets to play like witty characters who carry the show. She was our Juliet in our crazy Romeo and Juliet meets teen drama mashup. And I think people do see her in a different way because they've seen her perform. They've seen that she can carry a show on her back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do want to chat about Riverona.
Yeah.
It just, where did this come from? A mashup of Romeo and Juliet and like Riverdale and like CW shows. Like, what?
So we were at just a regular hangout in Megan and her husband Hans's backyard, and we were just reading monologues and chatting about them, super casual. And Megan really wanted to do the balcony scene from Romeo and Juliet. And she was like, I just want to do this because Hans and I will never, ever get to play these two characters.
Yeah.
Like, hard no, nobody will ever cast us as it. And they read it and it was freaking hilarious. Like what they were doing, because there was no pressure. It was just, let's read this in front of our friends in our backyard and have it be as ridiculous as possible. And then Erin and I were like, hey,
What is Romeo and Juliet was a comedy.
Yeah.
And so how do we make it a comedy? Everyone's going to be 30 because we're all 30.
Yeah.
So 30-year-olds playing Romeo and Juliet, already funny. Where else do 30-year-olds play teenagers?
could it be the CW in every single show ever?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was just like that little kernel of an idea.
Yeah.
Then we sat down, we read through all of Romeo and Juliet, and we like highlighted the bits that we thought were must-have text to keep in. We highlighted the bits that we thought were kind of teen drama adjacent. We looked for a character who could be a vampire, which was Mercutio.
Yeah.
Although, is she a vampire?
Who knows? Impossible to tell.
The script never says.
No. We added every production cut character of Peter back because we loved Peter, who is just a servant character in the Capulet household.
Yeah.
And does nothing to drive the plot forward ever, which is why they're always cut.
Yeah.
And we were like, hard no, Peter needs to be here. We need this character.
It's crazy that, I mean, it makes sense that Shakespeare has stood the test of time and can inspire something like this. Like, there's just these pieces that you can just go off of as just that, like, starting point, inspiration. What other pieces of work, plays, movies have really inspired you both?
So I'm really inspired by the music of the Hold Steady. They are a bar band out of the Twin Cities, and they've had like early albums that were song cycles.
Yeah.
And they have recurring characters in their songs. So they have a girl who can see the future, and then there's this narrator character, and there's Jessie, who's a waitress, and there's all these recurring, and Charlemagne, who is a drug dealer who wears sweatpants, and all these recurring characters. And so anytime that I feel like a little trapped when I'm writing, I tend to go for a walk and listen to them, and it makes me think about putting characters in different situations and coming back to old characters.
Oh, yeah.
I don't honestly know. I have very varied tastes.
Yes.
I like so many things that are so different from each other. Like, I'm a huge Disney buff. Love Disney movies so much. Can sing along to all of them. But I'm also a gigantic horror buff.
Yeah.
And I love horror movies. Like, gross, bloody, disgusting movie. I'm like, yes, give me that as well. So I don't know what inspires me in terms of I'm just a voracious consumer of content.
And I think that's a great thing for a performer and productions. Like, I love when you're watching something that's fairly serious and then there's a great comedic moment, or when it's a horror and there's a comedy moment, or it's a comedy and we have this really sweet moment and all of a sudden I'm crying. I mean, I cry way too easily.
Me too. Yeah, all of the things.
Like, I'm like, oh God, like, this is getting ridiculous. But I just think it's so nice. Like, it doesn't have to fit into one lane, right?
And I will say Porcelain Dolls is very much not in one lane. We are big comedy writers.
Yeah.
Tell from the example of Verona that comedy is like our jam. But I mean, I cry once a rehearsal. Dolls.
Yeah, there's some extremely powerful moments and true, real moments that we have in the show that are part of life, because that's what this is, the slice of life show. So it can't be all funny all the time because life isn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you're working on this. You did it previously. You're bringing it back. We're getting ready. You're here to promote it. March 27th is when it starts. What is this time period like for you while you're working on it, knowing that an audience is going to come see it?
I think we've just hit the scary point. For the people who are listening, we're recording this on the 6th.
Yeah.
So we have like 3 weeks to go, and there are just enough things that aren't done. But I'm terrified. It's all gonna come together. This is totally normal for the process.
Yes.
But my dad has been like texting me about the set. And I'm like, I don't know, Dad. I don't know. We just have to make it. Just make it. Stop asking me questions. Just do what's on the plan.
Yeah, we have a ground plan. Do that.
Yeah.
But it's also really fun because we also brought in an outside director, which is so lovely.
Yeah.
Usually in our past for our collective works, we've directed them sometimes ourselves, sometimes we brought somebody in, but then also Erin and I are like, oh, but also and also this and this and this and this. And this one is so great to sort of pass off and be like, hey, Danielle, do.
Yeah.
And Danielle Baker is our director, and she is phenomenal.
I mean, we thought she'd be good, but she has a very, very bright future in front of her. She's 23, just finishing up her teaching degree. And she just has this incredible capacity to carry a room and ask incisive questions. But you always know the answers.
Yes.
You don't know that you know the answers,
Yeah.
but you always know them.
And she's never trying to like get a trick response or anything like that. Like her questions are always really true and honest and like inquisitive, where it's like,
Right.
how is your character doing in this? How has your character ever done this? And you're like, yes, or no, or I'm not sure yet. I'm going to play around with that.
Yeah.
So she's really good at asking the questions that really get you as an actor to delve more into your characters. Because we also didn't do any table work for this play, in terms of like what true table work could have been. So Up on Its Feet is the first time the actors are really delving into their characters, and she has been so wonderful at helping guide us through that, emotionally and intention-wise, as well as physically where we are on the stage.
So how do you each of you, how do you get into your character? How do you find that character? What's something that really helps you?
Being up on my feet really helps me. I'm a very visual kinesthetic person, so walking through and knowing where I am and who's physically in the space around me really, really helps me drop into my characters.
I'm a big costume actor. I definitely kind of build my character outside in.
Yeah.
And so when I'm doing a show and someone else is costume designing it and the design that they give me doesn't align with what my vision of the character is, it can really throw me off.
Oh yeah.
And I know a lot of people will do like, they'll do character biographies, or they'll do beats in their script where they'll write down action words for each sentence. And I'm not really that kind of actor.
Yeah.
I really kind of like take things from the outside and bring them in to make my characters.
I read once that I think it was the third or fourth Harry Potter movie. It was a new director came on, and he asked the three leads to write a one-page essay about who their character is, so they could get into it. Even though they've been playing it for a couple of years, but he wanted to see where they're at. And Emma Watson wrote like 17 pages, which was so Hermione.
Yeah.
And Rupert Grint didn't do it because he was like, I don't think Ron would do it. And it's like, oh, I can't get mad at you for that. Like,
Right, you got it.
yeah. But yeah, it's I mean, it's easy when you can pull things out of real life. And I mean, that's talking about wizards. You're talking about we're doing real people at a bachelorette party. Were you finding moments from your past to bring these characters to life?
Yes, but there's also a great separation between, because every character you play, no matter how real and true it is to you, is still a character that you have to somewhat separate. I find, anyway, for me, to separate myself from the character, so that way Claire doesn't get too into there.
Yeah.
And find the bits that are very similar that I can connect to right away, but also find those bits that are, I would never do that. I would never say that. oh no, this situation's so outside of what I would do. And sort of finding through the rehearsal process how to meld those two halves and two sides of a character together.
And I think sometimes you use your past in ways that you don't expect. We were doing table work during our first, not big table work, but we were answering questions about the characters during one of our first rehearsals. And I turned to Claire and I said, "Oh my God, I'm playing lawyer Kevin." He was this guy that I dated. You're like, not any of the times we were writing the play.
No.
This was just like a guy kind of in the middle there. And I was like, this character has so many similarities to this man.
Yeah.
So I'm using a lot of that, even though you wouldn't expect that this, man that I dated for like a couple of months has an impact on this character who is not him.
No, it wasn't even, he wasn't even a figment of imagination when we were writing this.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't want to spoil the play or anything like that, but I do want to ask you, like, what, obviously you're acting, but what's it like to get into roles where you're being ex-best friends in I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to let the audience, you have to go watch it.
See the show.
But what's that like to get into that dynamic?
So I don't think it spoils anything if I say that we have a confrontation at one point during the show.
Yes.
You would expect that.
Yeah.
And we blocked it for the first time, or we worked it like 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was really easy for me to drop into it.
It was.
More than I expected.
Yeah. And I think what was very interesting is when we just read it, because Danielle also likes to, before we get up on our feet, she likes us all to just read the scene together. And then she'll ask some questions and then she'll say, okay, let's hop up and we'll do it and I'll stop you as needed. And in reading it, that was one thing where we're like, okay, here we are. Here's our emotional journeys. We all know who the character, where we are in time and space.
Right.
And then when we got it up on its feet, it was like the ball dropped. And it was like, oh my gosh, we're here. This is where we are as characters. Yeah. Which was really great. Because it gave a whole different dynamic and dimension to that scene.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fine to shake off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think I'm a big rituals person. And I think we probably for this show need to devise something where we tap in, tap out. Because the show can be quite emotional, and not just for me. Like most of the characters have some big emotional moments. So I mean, yeah, keeping that separation of character and self, I think, is going to be important as we go on.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we've got 12 cast members, I think, 11, 12?
There's 8 cast members plus 2 swings.
Okay.
Yes, because in this day and age, we do not force people to act if they're sick.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes. Yes.
So having all these different characters, like when you're writing, having these characters that are all at the same location, but they're all at different places in their life, is that really fun? But also, is it hard to make sure that we can tell who these different characters are?
Yeah, when we were in the writing process, there are certain characters whose voices tended to blur into each other if we weren't careful. Mm-hmm. And we kind of just we wrote all of it and then we went back through and we would read the scenes out loud. And people would sort of read the same characters over and over. And we go, oh, shoot, in that scene, Ashley sounds like Mackenzie. So we need to find something different for Ashley to be doing in that scene. So she has her own voice.
Mm-hmm.
So this went through quite a few drafts.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you don't just want to see 8 people, unless that's the story. And maybe that's the story too, where it's 8 exactly the same people.
Oh, and the mom character. So I wrote a lot of the initial pass on the mom character scenes while I was in London. Because these guys were rewriting and I was on a trip with my mom. And I was like, well, I got to do my part of the work. So I'll write the completely new scenes. We don't have to worry about them fitting in as much. But the amount of times I would turn to her and be like, so, Mom, would a mother say this?
Yeah.
Or what would your response be if this happened?
Mm-hmm.
I think her voice, I don't know, I'm biased. I think her voice works.
I think her voice works. And we have a wonderful woman, Wendy Froberg, who is playing Brenda. And something that's really great is she's a mom. She has grown children. So it's been really lovely in the rehearsal process to hear her not only say the words, but hear her talk about the character and sort of say, yes, you did. You wrote a voice that I feel comfortable speaking as a woman with grown children. And that's been really great to hear because we are not women with grown children.
You're like, we're just going to try this. We think we can do this, but...
Yeah.
So I do want to ask you both, what do you think of the theater scene in Calgary? I think sometimes people forget that we have a scene.
I think people really dismiss it, and it is a really robust and exciting scene.
Yeah.
It did get a little decimated during the bad times. But I feel like it's really coming back with a vengeance now. There are a lot of brand new indie companies starting up.
Yeah.
Reckless Daughter Creative and Baker Miller Pink and Major Matt Mason and all of these young people who graduated university and now are trying to make their own art. So there's space, and DIY is another.
Yeah.
So there's space for them. And then there's a really robust community theater scene. Our Community Theater Association, I think, has 21 member companies.
Oh, wow.
And then the professional theater is kind of world class.
Yeah.
We do some really good shows here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a lot happening in the city.
There's so much. And I'm always like, just go and see it. There's always something happening. There's always a play going on. And we have such a great, as Erin was saying, we have a really great community, like theater in general community in this city. And there's always something happening. Like, so you can go to the Pump House and there will be a mix of different shows going on from professional to indie to community. You can go to Arts Commons and have that same sort of mix. So it's really beautiful to see that.
That being said, we are sort of reaching the limits of what our infrastructure can maintain.
Right.
It is hard to find rehearsal space that is affordable. It is hard to find performance space that is affordable. We're rehearsing in a fitness studio and shared with, and also C Space, which is great. That's Quest has rented their space to us, which is lovely. But like we couldn't get into the Morpheus space. It's booked.
It's all booked. And that's, I think, the biggest downside to Calgary at this point in time is its space and availability of the space.
And government funding.
Yes. We don't. Yes, that's a whole nother part that we could go off on for a long time.
It's very different. Yes.
But
the next 3 hours.
Here we go. But hopefully there's some really cool revitalization projects slated for the city for the arts, and hopefully that can translate into affordable rehearsal space, because that's something that as a young company starting and you don't have the funds necessarily to rent a giant rehearsal space, and then your runs sometimes are shorter because you once again don't have the funds to rent the theater for 2-3 weeks of a run. And you're like, we can do one weekend. That's it.
Yeah.
Which can create a lot of fun buzz. You can be like, we're running for this one weekend. We've got 7 shows. Let's go. Let's fill it. And you can, but you could, with more funding, you could do more.
And it hardships you because you can't get word of mouth. You know, people see your show the first weekend and they tell their friends. And if you don't have a second weekend, their friends can't come.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is so important as well, because in all these independent theater companies is we're getting a chance for fresh voices and stories directly from females, queers, people of color. Because, I mean, we talked about William Shakespeare. He's stood the test of time, but we're still talking about an old white dude. Who, you know, that's what we go for. But we need these fresh stories from real people.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it's going to change. That's how we are not going to have seasons that are programmed with 7 male characters and 1 older woman and 1 younger woman.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's all, every show.
Yeah. No non-binary representation there.
No.
Unless the casting director is creative, and that should be on the director to innovate. The story should be there. The play should be there.
Yeah.
Although they should also innovate. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. It's a working together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you really want people, as we start to like wrap up here, what do you want people to really know about Porcelain Dolls?
Porcelain Dolls is an exploration of female friendships, grief, and the things that we do or say because we think other people want us to do or say those things. That's how I would describe the show. So it's really for everyone.
It is.
I know they're supposed to narrow down your audience, but
No, it's
men, it's okay. You will like this.
it's funny. We've got some really fun, and we've got some beautiful human moments in this show of just people being people and the effects of a party and a nightclub.
Yeah.
Because those are our two big aspects of it. And how does that affect everybody in the show?
Yes. I mean, again, it's anybody can go see it. I mean, if you've ever gone to a nightclub, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you've never gone to a bachelorette party, male, female, non-binary, but you've been to a club or a bar where a bachelorette party's happening, you know what it's like.
Oh, you've been at a bachelor. If you've been near one, you've been at a bachelorette party. Don't worry.
They've taken you in.
Yeah.
You got this. You've done the shots with them at the bar.
Did you want the shots? No.
No.
They want you to take them? Yes.
Yes. So is there any, I gotta ask then, it's a bachelorette party. Is there any penis paraphernalia involved?
All of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The bachelorette party's theme is red dresses and dicks.
Correct. Oh, and sashes. We cannot forget the
sashes.
sashes.
Yes, I was gonna say there has to be a sash, like
With a dick on it.
so. I mean, that must be when you're getting the props and outfits ready for plays is one thing, and now you're gonna add in all these penises.
We're just so lucky to have stores that have that available, and you can go in and be like, I'm shopping for a bachelorette party, and they're like, here's our section of penis themed things. Peruse, and you're like, thanks so much. Here we go.
Oh my God, we were in rehearsal on the first day. We were talking about props and stuff, and Allie, one of our actors, goes, I have penis straws and I don't know what to do with them. So I'm just going to donate them to the show.
Where we're like, perfect. Thank you so much.
Like, you do know what to do with them, though.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, so it's running March 27th to April 5th.
Yes.
Yes. Tickets are just $25 too. Like,
Yeah.
It's our 2012 pricing.
2012 pricing.
Yeah.
We also offer a student senior artist rate of 2020.
We're in it now. $20.
you know where we're at. We know what's happening.
Here's the thing. It sucks when you're an artist and you want to see all of your friends' plays and you can't afford them because they all cost $45. So if we can do a little bit to make the tickets a little bit cheaper, we will do that.
Mm-hmm.
We also offer $10 rush tickets that go on sale 3 hours before the show every night.
Nice.
So if cost is an issue, wait for those.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, people are looking for things to do in the city. We're giving you this right now. It's a perfect date night, friends night, like
Bachelorette party night. Come hang out with us for 2 hours. It'll be great.
It'll be a perfect work retreat. You can go see it and then you can talk about how you can apply the lessons learned to your workplace.
There we go. Something for everyone.
And what theater is it at again? It's
The West Village Theater.
West Village Theater. Yes.
Yes. So that's the one that's on 10th, kind of underneath the Crowchild overpass. You enter it through an alley. Don't be constricted. It's okay.
It is there. Don't worry.
Yes. There's a lot of theaters that people don't realize are theaters, and
It's true.
it's a fun thing.
I think that's like universal though, because I've been to many a city and they're like, okay, so you're going to go to this building and then you're going to ring this buzzer, not this other buzzer, this buzzer. And then you're going to go up 7 flights of stairs, take a left,
Go down one flight.
and then the theater's there. And you're like, might I get murdered? I might.
Yeah.
Might I find the theater? I might. Who knows? Let's take this journey together.
I do want to ask you both. I like to ask actors this question: is there a character or role that you would love to play? Whether it's already a scripted person, so somebody from a movie or play that's well known, or maybe it's a concept of a character.
I want to play Anne Boleyn.
Oh yeah.
Specifically, there's a play called Anne of the Thousand Days, which is done half in verse, and it's the story of the 1,000 days they spent together. But I'll take Anne Boleyn in anything.
I would love to play Rosalind from As You Like It.
Oh, yeah.
I love her so much.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many great characters out there, and it's nice when things can get brought back. Like, I mean, Theatre Calgary just did A Streetcar Named Desire, and they did such a great job with that. It's super fun, but there's just some of these characters that just are so like my buddy I took to the play. He didn't know it. I was like, "How do you not know this?" And I was talking to another friend. She's like, "I don't get it." I was like, "Did you ever watch The Simpsons? Marge was in a play." "Oh, glad I did know that." I was like, "Simpsons taught us everything."
one.
Yeah. But they're just like how some plays can stand the test of time because like it didn't matter that it took place in that time period. There was just no cell phones, like again, and the outfits look a little bit different, but it's still held up and still works.
Yeah, the story is still universal, and it's still a real human experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what you have with Porcelain Dolls here. This is a universal thing. It's real people, real experiences that I'm excited to see it. I'm very stoked to see it. I think it's gonna be super super fun.
Yeah.
I do like to ask all my guests as well to tell me something that's awesome. It could be absolutely anything. Tell me something that's awesome.
I leg pressed 115 pounds at the gym this morning, and that's pretty awesome.
Wow, that is awesome. Well done.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
What is awesome? So many things. So many things are awesome. At the moment, okay, I'm an out loud ponderer, as you can tell.
I like it.
I am going to go with the fact that it is such a beautiful day outside today. There's sunshine.
Yeah.
And it's just a very light, uplifting day. It's been kind of dreary lately.
Yeah.
So this is awesome. This light that we've got going on right now is awesome.
It's really nice out. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah.
Okay, final question. I want each of you to give me 2 or 3 words that best describe your character in Porcelain Dolls.
Bride, dogs, fishing.
Okay. Oh, now this is a tease and I love it. Everyone's going to be listening like, well, now I need to see this play just for that.
Lawyer, chastity, and cheese whiz.
We have left it at the best cliffhanger possible. Now everyone needs to go see this play because you need to find out what that's about. Oh,
It is a word that is said more than once.
It's
in
true.
the play by me.
Yep.
okay.
Indeed.
Indeed. That is amazing. All right. So, Full Circle Theater on Instagram is
Yeah, best place to find us. We have a link tree that has like all of the places to go buy the things. We have a bit.ly
Yeah.
website, so bit.ly/FCT at the word, not the symbol. Oh no, I stopped myself.
Oh no.
bit.ly/FCT at AFP. Yeah, it's just go to our Instagram.
Yeah, that's the easiest way.
Yeah.
yeah, that's perfect. Full Circle Theaters, Porcelain Doll, March 27th, April 5th. Tickets available. Go see this place. Support local. See this wonderful. I'm so stoked about it. Find out what the fishing and the cheese whiz is all about. Thank you both for being here today. It's so awesome to have you both here.
Thanks for having us.
Craig, it was so lovely to get to talk to you.
It really was.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad. I had a blast. I can't wait to see this play. It's going to be great. Follow them, Full Circle Theater on Instagram. You know, you want to check it out. Follow me on social media, PTW Craig, Passing Time with Craig. Thanks for passing time. We'll chat soon. Bye.